Now I think the more I clean this one, the more jealous I'll become of not having it myself. Welcome to Car Traction. Now, local car boots have proved fruitful in the last few weeks, as I have bought lots of lovely old memorabilia, tools and much more. Now in this video I'll be cleaning up some of them, showing them to you and explaining some of their origins and what they are. Right, now first up we have the drills. First of all, a very nice Rapid example. Now I think I definitely have another one of these and possibly even have two other of these, but I think it was cheap, about £1. That's one thing that is good when you come to these car boots, everything's just so cheap. I don't think this one will need too much cleaning up as it's relatively free. I say that, it might actually need cleaning up as I think the cogs might be catching a bit at some point, so I'll definitely get some of that mud out. But one thing that I don't like as much about the Rapids as some of these Stanleys is you can tell that they're possibly not as good quality. As you can see, the Stanley type ones have a much chunkier thing going on that connects it to the actual, there must be a name for it but I can't really think of it, but what you're spinning around. It just feels, I'm sure it doesn't make much difference, but if I used them properly back in the day, I'd say that this is more of a household one for smaller jobs, while these sort of ones are more worky, heavy duty ones. So you can see this one. Now I have got one exactly like this with another very nice label on it, but I just saw it and I thought, have I already got one of those? Yes. But then I thought, well, I might as well ask the price, and I think it was about £1, so I thought, well, that's cheap enough, isn't it? And of course managed to find a drill bit, which means you can actually use them, obviously not on the garden table. I think Mum would definitely be not very happy with that. I think I must have two or three of these. Obviously with any drill you got the nice wood, but these ones, I like how industrial garagey these ones are, because you got the two cogs there, which just feels more when you're going, if you're pressing hard into a material, it just feels like there's more there and it's not gonna snap as easily as something like the Rapid one. The Rapid one nearly fell there. But anyway, yeah, I also like the orange livery and the nice writing on there. Now moving on to the final one. Now I'm not quite sure about the origins of this one, because as you can see it has a very similar workings underneath to a Stanley, but it's possibly slightly more decorative. However, it has no evidence of a maker anyway, so I'm not sure where this one came. Well, I know where it came from. I bought it this weekend, but what manufacturer it is, if anybody knows, I'll have to tighten that up a bit. I can do that with my new screwdriver that I'll be showing you in a few minutes. But anyway, this one, yeah, very similar to that. Very tactile actually. I think sometimes when I'm going into the workshop you just can't help picking one up and winding it round a few times, because it's just such a nice mechanism, and this one looks very nice as well as works very nice. Once again, you got the two cogs, and I've actually just spotted something that could, I think that could say GB. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a very faint G and then a P, or is it C? I have no idea, but if any of you guys know where this one came from, then please let me know in the comments section. But anyway, I don't really mind. It's just I collect them for what they are, not necessarily what manufacturer. I don't really specialise in any type or country or origin. I just like these old drills. Anyway, it's time for me to stop droning on about some old drills, and now I'm going to look at some old oil cans. Right, so now here are those two cans that I was just speaking of. Now what's especially nice about this one is it has the remnants of a label. Now if there's anything that has a label or the remnants of a label and is memorabilia or automobile related, then I'll probably always buy it, or at least ask the price, because I just think it adds that extra level of interest to the object. Now these, nearly dropped it there, these are both examples from Wesco, which was a manufacturer of oil cans. Now I do have a few of these, I think 2 like this Wesco, and I have a larger, I think 2 larger. Yeah, I have a lot of stuff. I have to be very picky when I'm going to car boots. But anyway, what's about these? I know I have a few of them already, but I just really like them because I just think they're small, cute. And the good thing about oil cans is it's very rare to see one rust, because obviously, I'm sure you know, they're always living in an environment of storing or having a bit of oil over them. But anyway, I think these will definitely get a very nice spot in my workshop. And now we have a legendary old box. As you can see, it is in impeccable condition, and I'm sure you're thinking, what is he on about? It's just a box. Well, the reason I bought it is, it came with a plane, and it also has a very nice top to the box. I thought, when I saw that, I had to have it. I think it was £4. I think, once again, not really at a old tool and stuff type of stall. Once again, I think it was just one of these householdy stalls. Just saw it in a corner underneath a bookcase or something, and thought, oh, I'll ask about that. Now, it's a shame that there is a slight crack. Now, usually I don't really go for planes that much, but this one I thought was, obviously having the box, I had to have it. But this one has a nice label on it. I think I've actually only got one other plane in my collection, which, considering that I have about 5 oil cans, I think about 6 2-gallon petrol cans, it's quite surprising. But for some reason they never appealed to me as much as some of the stuff. But I'm not saying they're not nice, they are very nice, but people seem to want quite a lot for them, so I don't often buy them. But however, I managed to find one that slipped through the net. It was hidden away somewhere, so nobody else had spotted it yet, and managed to buy it. Now this item has to be one of my favourites. Now, you may be thinking, oh, it's just a normal screwdriver, it's a very nice one, even if it didn't have its little party trick. Still got a nice bit of brass. I always think that equals quality when you have a bit of brass going on. But first of all, I saw some sort of contraption here. So at the moment it is set, I'll just zoom out a bit. At the moment it's set, you turn it right, which means you're tightening up a bolt, and then you can turn it back, which means that if you're in a cramped space or something, say there's a big wall there and you can't get your hand all the way around, you can wind it back without it affecting the screwdriver end. And then under this very nice writing, you can flip it to 3 different settings. This is setting 1. So what I'll do is I'll put it to the end, which means that I can now loosen, which is left anti-clockwise, and then I can skip back that way. Now the middle setting, I bet you're wondering what that's for. Well, that, if I can even select it, just turns it into a normal spanner. But anyway, I thought that was an absolutely lovely example. Even if it didn't have any other brass, I'd probably still buy it. So I think I'll have to give that one a bit of an oily rag, because I think that it will come up even better than it already is. Yeah, I think that was a great buy, that. Possibly, I think it's about £2. But anyway, if you see something like this at a car boot, it's always worth asking, because a lot of the time they're quite cheap, and if they are expensive, then at least you know. Now is something that I believe I only have one other example of, a saw. Now for some reason I've never really managed to buy a lot of saws. I think people tend to want quite a lot for them, especially saws like this. But I think the main thing is they take up quite a lot of space. But what I liked about this one is, well, obviously aside from its oily ragged condition, very nice wood, I think that will come up quite nice, but it has a very nice stamp for the maker, which really drew me towards it. I believe this was £3, and I thought, well, that's cheap enough. But yeah, very nice. I love how the metal is sort of weathered a bit, but not beyond looking a bit scruffy. Same thing with the wood. nice and dark. And you can see somebody has stamped on their name. I'm not sure, it must have been a company or something, because I think that looks very, well, it's too neat really, if you ask me, for somebody at home just to have scraped that in. You sometimes see it in spanners, unless they stamped that, they developed some sort of stamp and stamped it into all their tools. I don't know if you recognise T. Sanderson or also recognise this maker, then please let me know in the comments. But this, I think, is the best thing that I've bought in a long time from a car boot. A National Benzol mixture 2-gallon petrol can. Now what I especially like about this one is the top, as I've never seen one before. Now Dad has a lot of cans hanging up in his garage and I've looked at his, but they don't seem to have that very tasty cap on it. Now this one I believe is from 1940 due to the dates on the bottom. Now if you like this sort of thing, there are, I think, 2 other videos on my channel of restoring old cans. I believe a Shell and Esso one from an antique centre, and then a slightly scruffier BP one. But usually, there you go, you can see the velour. You can see 1940. It is slightly hard to see, but I did ask the owner and they reckoned that it was 1940 as well. Use NBC oil. But yeah, it's very nice. I believe it's been repainted, but I think it's been a long time ago and it's not done that bad. It's not coming onto the cap or anything. The ability to speak suddenly left me there. But yes, that'll definitely get a good spot with my other 2-gallon cans. Now this, at first look, or possibly at the angle that you're looking at, it looks like a fairly normal velour can, and there's nothing different on the bottom. So velour also in 1940. You can see the dates on the bottom. Have you spotted anything? Well, the clue to this one's rarity, and I must add, this one actually isn't mine because I chose to spend all my money on the National Benzol mixture can, because I had seen that, but I thought I prefer the National Benzol can to display, so it just looks a bit nicer. But this one is possibly a lot rarer. I think Dad bought this one as he had a bit of spare money. Anyway, that is the reason why it is so unusual. Now, if nobody knows what that means, the crown and AM, I'll give you a moment to figure out what that is. What it means is Air Ministry, and being 1940 means that it is World War II, obviously. Now, I have got a few Air Ministry spanners, but I've never seen it on a can before, and neither has Dad, and he's been collecting for a long time. With the can, it's just a fairly normal, fairly straight, just a normal can. But I think that is just a fantastic thing to have on it. Normal cap. There are no other signs of being Air Ministry. Not sure if it's being repainted or not. Dad did consider spraying, what quite a good thing to do is spray black paint onto a rag, and then you wipe it all over, which gives it sort of oily rag look. There we go. Which can look quite nice, but this could possibly be the original paint. I think we'll try and scrape off some of this writing along here, but being a sort of bluey, light blue colour, it could possibly be the original paint, but we're not really sure. If anybody has a can with an Air Ministry or knows of their rarity or origin, or basically knows anything about this, then please, by all means, do tell me in the comments. So now I think the 2-gallon petrol cans, the old saws, general vintage and old tools deserve a bit of a clean-up, especially the mysterious Air Ministry one, as I think we could bring up that logo quite a bit nicer. But anyway, it's time for me to start waffling and get cleaning. Now, I think the more I clean this one, the more jealous I'll become of not having it myself. But I'm going to be honest, I'm chuffed with the National Benzol mixture, and I'd possibly rather have that one. Alright then, so first of all, to get the treatment will be the rapid drill. Now there is an extra incentive to cleaning this, as hopefully it'll free it up more so that you can get a smoother motion when you are drilling. Not that I'll be doing it much, but sometimes, as I said before, you just come into the workshop and you just sometimes have to pick up one of these and just wind it round a few times. So all old news with the oily ragging. Now if you like to see this sort of thing, please check out the Car Traction homepage, as there are many other videos, as I said before, some of cleaning up 2-gallon petrol cans and lots of other stuff as well. But I think I'll try and get a bit of some of this grime out from inside the wheel. I think I'll work on that a bit later, but now I'll try just spraying. Might need a heavier oil. Do a quick spray around and then just wind it. Oh, that's a lot better. Look at it go, meow. So you can see that with just a really quick spray of oil, that's so much better. Now I might put a bit of 3-in-1 in it as well, just dry off some of the WD-40, just a little bit. You want to leave it in a bit, not too much of it. I'll just squeeze a little bit in here and there. A bit too much there, never mind. I'm not sure if there's an oiling point anywhere for this, so I'll just squeeze it around. I'll just dab a bit that's on the inside, and then that's even better. It's really light. Now you can do it really easily. Almost knocked over my can of WD-40 there. So I'll just dry a bit of the inside and then dab a bit so that it can still be staying in the grooves, which is the bit that goes inside that little wheel that makes the whole thing rotate. But the inside will really want to be dry just for make it a bit presentable. But I think that looks a lot better. It obviously works a lot better as well. So now I'll move on. I wonder which one I'll do. I think I'll do the one with the nice label on. Now if you're oily ragging this sort of thing and you haven't got a label on, then I suggest being very delicate, possibly even avoid the whole thing. But if you feel like if it's really dirty around the label, then I'd just dab a bit. Just don't rub, because that could cause the label to come off. So you see here there's no label, so you can just rub it up and drop the rag. Oh no. But when you come to the label, just be very careful with any label. It doesn't matter what tool it's on. Now this one I think has already got, yeah, look at that, it's so light that it will just drop down on itself. So I don't think I need to do much around this area. I'll just oil up this handle. Keep knocking stuff over today. And then I think I'll do the Stanley on that one. Now one thing I've noticed when I was cleaning these is that some of the handles have come a bit loose over time. So with my newly bought screwdriver, I'll leave it on the neutral setting. I'll just quickly tighten up these handles, which should hopefully improve the whole motion. I think that's as tight as it'll go. I'm not sure this is the perfect size for them, but anyway, that feels a lot tighter and a lot better now. It's extremely light, it'll go around on its own. So now same treatment for the other one. And there you go. So now I think I'll give that plane in its nice box a little bit of a clean up. One good thing to do with brass is you don't necessarily need polish if you're going for the oily rag used look. Just give it a wipe over with a plain rag, and that's all it needs. Right, anyway, now that I've cleaned that up a bit better, as I said, I'll do this plane. Now first of all, I'm just going to want to get a bit of this, all this dust out, presumably sawdust. It's obviously been used in its life. Shame about the wood, but it is, but obviously it's still very nice being with its box. It's obviously original. Now this one again has a label, so I'll have to be careful with that. Even if you're not rubbing anything on, you still don't really want to be putting too much pressure on things like that. So now I'm just getting a bit of the dust off, called sawdust, and now I'll give it the same WD-40 treatment. We're doing WD-40 a favour here, aren't we? So promoting the brand. Should get paid for this. Now what you're going to want to do is use very little cloth. Don't get a whole big fistful of it when you're doing little things like that. It's best to just get your finger in a corner so that you can get into all the nooks and crannies, especially with writing as well. Just a quick spray. Once again, I'll try and get a really thin piece of cloth, just so I can make sure everything's getting its dose of oil. Now I'll just do that little bit under there. Now that black has actually come up a lot nicer. So I'll just very carefully, now I wouldn't recommend spraying directly onto it, so I'll just sort of do a tiny little bit just above it. Then I'll just dab very carefully, so you don't want to be removing a nice label like that. So just a general rub, nothing new. So now that that's cleaned up with its nice label, it can go back in its box, or possibly I'll have it out and be displayed in my workshop. So now I'll clean up those two Westco oil cans. So obviously, of course, being oil cans, they've been living in an oily environment, which means that they have a layer of oil all over them, so they're all pretty protected, and I think that's the best they're going to be. So I don't think it's worth using any WD-40 and cleaning them up. I think they're just perfect as they are. So now I'll have a go at cleaning up that very nice Benzol can, and also the very rare and unusual Air Ministry can. Well, now I'm going to clean up my National Benzol can. Now you may think this really doesn't need it, and I actually agree, but however, putting oil onto it, such as WD-40, puts a sort of protective layer which will last if it's winter or cold, which will protect it from rust or rusting too soon. And obviously you don't want your nice cans rusting away. This one's actually in very solid condition. Now if you're a regular to the channel, you will have noticed that recently I've been buying a lot of cans. So if you aren't a regular, or if you are but haven't seen those videos, then please check out the channel homepage. I believe I cleaned up a black BP can, I can't speak today, and a Shell and Esso one, so please check them out if you haven't seen them. Same thing here, just a quick spray of oil. And I'll do the top. I'll leave it like that actually. Motor spirit, highly inflammable. Right, well I think that looks fantastic, so now I'll have a go at the mysterious Air Ministry can. So this is that can that I showed you earlier with the Air Ministry mark. And I will reiterate, this sadly isn't my can, as I bought the National Benzol one and spent all the money that I had with me at the time on that. So Dad managed to buy this, which is good, so that I can still see it and look at it, and if any of you guys know what it is, we can investigate and have a look into what it really is. Like I said before, it's light blue paint, does suggest some origin like that, but we're not really sure if it's been repainted or not. It's a bit of a tricky one. Once again, all the same, just a simple quick spray and then rub on. And I think that looks good. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly did. Now if you like to see these updates of car boot buys, then please let me know in the comments, as I will certainly do some more, as I love cleaning up and displaying some of this stuff in my workshop. Now please like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I feel like this, I've said this a lot of times, but there are other videos concerning 2-gallon cans and general other assorted tools, so please make sure to check them out. Thanks for watching.